Now, for those who are unaware, Lovecraft Country it came out of nowhere. I mean, I saw a trailer for it a couple months ago, and I'm sure there's been, ramblings about it online for a few years now since it's been in development, but in my radar, it flew completely under it, and I had no idea what the fuck I was missing. Now, this show is very complex, and it's actually based on a book. In this video, I want to discuss 3 things that everyone may have missed, and also, what the fuck is up with the magic in this universe. Alright, so first things first. Episode 9 is coming out in a few days, and I watched the promo multiple times, as well as watching every single episode of this season 3 times. The show is really good. But my thoughts and predictions for episode 9, well, I kind of cheated. I skimmed the cliff notes for the book. Basically, how this season is going to end, if there's going to be more, is Christina, like you can see in the promo, will come to try and help Ruby get rid of the demon pickaninny that has possessed Dee, but in the books it's a bit different. For those who are unaware, cousin Dee, or Diana, is actually Horace. He's a boy, and he makes an appearance in the chapter called The Horse and the Devil Doll. So it's not actually demon, clown looking. To me, they look like the creatures from the It. It's basically the It's makeup stripped off and made to look more like flesh. But how they have it in the show, where the demon pickaninnies are following Dee around all day while she's riding her bike, it's different. In the books, they're actually like dolls that are possessed. And also, Cousin Horace notices that when he looks at pictures, certain faces will give him demonic smiles and stuff. In the books, in my opinion, it's a lot more subtle, and I feel like the way they did it on the show is a lot more terrifying and adds to the intensity of the moment. Basically, what ends up happening fully in the books is Horace draws like Cousin Dee does in the show, but a comic book he drew was found near Hiram Renthorpe's observatory, much like how it did on the show, and they demand Horace to ask Hippolyta what's going on. Obviously, Horace refuses to do this, so Lancaster casts a spell on him to prevent Horace from telling others about the situation, and to cause inanimate objects to move. Soon enough, Horace begins to notice all kinds of cartoons and photographs grinning at him, and a doll attacks him. Horace manages to use Scrabble tiles to tell out to Ruby what exactly the fuck is going on, and Ruby then tells Caleb in the books Christina, which will happen in episode 9 on the TV show, and this is why we see Christina showing up in the promo. Now, in the book, Caleb reverses the curse on Cousin Horace, or Dee, in the TV show, so I'm pretty sure it's going to happen like that. The difference is that once she does this, Caleb decides that Captain Lancaster is trying to kill Horace in order to get back at Hippolyta for working with Caleb. Now, Christina and Hippolyta aren't working together on the TV show, and it'll be interesting to see how the show sort of manipulates that plot, because Captain Lancaster is already dead. I'm pretty sure it'll be replaced with Atticus, Christina, and Ruby devising a plan to allow Christina to help get the demon pickaninnies out of Dee, and much like in the books, they'll go along with her ritual, and where she plans on sacrificing Atticus in order to give herself immortality, but they'll foil her attempts to try and have this ceremony. I think they'll do something, which is basically what happens in the books, is that they'll disturb her Mark of Cain, which removes her invulnerability, and they'll do something that'll block her magic and drop her off in the middle of nowhere. I'm positive that if she's going to do a similar ritual to what her father was trying to do, except for she knows that you don't take the Bible as like a literal interpretation when you're making the ceremony, I'm sure she'll have to remove her invulnerability. And when that part of the ceremony comes up, this is when they'll likely strike at Christina. I don't know if they're going to kill her right away, because it will further the plot if they were to just weaken her somehow and drop her off in the middle of nowhere. She'll have to rely on Christina will have to rely on her own resources, and maybe in season 2 we'll get a more in-depth look at the magic in Lovecraft Country. Now, we know that it works like magic in many other universes, in the sense that you need some sort of blood sacrifice. Then you also need intent. The person who's casting the magic spell, they need to have a strong will and their intent behind the spell in order for it to go correctly. And then you also need the crucial elements, or the most crucial element, and that's the knowledge on how to cast the spell. And that's what is the big quest in this first season, is discovering these lost pages of the Book of Adam, translating them, and finding out what they mean. And I will just say this, because I've never made a video on this show before. What the fuck, Montrose? You dipshit. You're gonna kill a 200-year-old Indian siren, or Native American rather, and then you're going to destroy the book. Bro, I don't understand why Tick was able to stop him. I understand the people came in and stopped him from beating the shit out of his father, but come on. This is one of many things that Montrose has done to completely fuck over the main characters in this storyline. You all let me know what you think down below, and if you think that Montrose should have got a bit more of that ass whooping. Now, just to quickly discuss some more aspects of the magic, or the sacrificing element. It seems like not only could you just do a literal blood sacrifice like in Game of Thrones, but if you sacrifice a part of yourself, you gain something. It's mentioned that Titus Braithwaite, the founder of the lodge that we see Atticus, Uncle George, and Letitia all visiting in the first couple episodes before it inevitably implodes on itself, Titus Braithwaite was said to have given so much of himself, and that's how he was able to gain so much. So it seems like every time they show a little bit of a nasty scene where someone's I don't know, spitting on their hand before they have butt sex, or maybe cutting themselves in the middle of sex, or maybe just being spit on in general, that seems to fit along with the whole idea that you have to sacrifice part of yourself in order to gain something, to allow the magic to happen. Now, since the way that the books end is sort of already foiled with the way that the events on the show were playing out, to reiterate, I think that Christina will in fact cure Dee of the demon pickaninnies, and in doing this, obviously Atticus will have to agree to her sacrifice ceremony in order for her to gain immortality. She will have to give up something, and I think she will have to remove her Mark of Cain, the spell that her father created. And this is where Atticus and Ruby will likely devise their plan to work with Letitia, who we know is invulnerable, to somehow destroy or weaken Christina. I don't think, if there's going to be a season 2, I don't think they're going to kill her off at the end of this season. I think they're going to somehow make it so that she can no longer use magic, and then potentially drop her off in a field in the middle of nowhere. Or what may happen is the initial dream, the opening scene of this show. We see a bunch of shit going on, and this is because our main character, Atticus, is dreaming while reading John Carter, or a Princess of Mars. Sorry, I was getting them confused with the Disney movie that came out a couple years ago. But in that opening scene, in Atticus's daydream, we see a Negro League baseball player show up and seemingly have the power of invulnerability and save Atticus in the last moments. That person with invulnerability in the baseball bat is Letitia. There's been several scenes throughout this first season where Letitia shows up with a baseball bat, and she's proven to be Letitia motherfucking Lewis, and I'm pretty sure she may be the one to show up and save Atticus. And what I'm saying this is, in the ceremony, in order for Christina to become immortal, she'll likely have to ascend and become one of Cthulhu, like a Cthulhu-like creature, which is from the Lovecraftian Universe. And if this is the case, well then Christina may already be aware of this and has accepted the outcome, knowing that in order for her to live forever, she will have to become something else entirely and ascend. On a second thought, or a lighter note, or a side note, whatever the hell you want to call it, maybe Hippolyta will show up. And I know I'm calling her Hippolyta because it doesn't feel right to call her Hippolyta. Who knows what's going on with her and those damn trans-dimensional aliens. If you guys want more, let me know down below in the comment section, and slap a like on this video. I'm out of here.